Welcome to How to Save Your Marriage with Nicola Beer, a full show of tips and practical strategies to repair, rebuild, and strengthen your relationship. If you are currently stuck, wondering if your marriage can be saved, or you know you want to save it but don't know how to go about changing it, this show is for you. To book your free marriage strategy session with Nicola, get the free marriage ebook or donate. If you are enjoying the show and want to help keep it flowing, visit www.nicolabeer.com.
Hi and welcome. I'm so happy you're here. I'm going to be talking today about what to do if you are accused of cheating when you're not cheating in your relationship. Working through infidelity can be one of the biggest tests any couples can go through. I help countless couples to rebuild after micro-cheating, cheating, to make the relationship stronger, to release the past and get rid of the thoughts and images that some people can have in their minds, causing them to really not enjoy life. But what about a couple who have to contend with the accusations of cheating and having an affair when no adultery has actually been committed? This is very common, unfortunately. Imagine that every time you are late from work because of new roadworks or a traffic accident or something landed on your desk when you're planning to leave, and then your partner is convinced that you are cheating, you're lying to them about why you're home late. Or maybe you forgot to charge your battery, so your phone was dead when your husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend tried to call you, and now they're adamant that you're cheating and you've turned off your phone deliberately because you don't want to hear from them. And whilst these may sound like extreme cases to most, others have to deal with this kind of situation on a daily basis, whether they are the ones constantly being accused like this or they're the ones that are so convinced that their partner is cheating that they cannot let it go. So in this episode, I wanted to address a few things. First, we're going to look at some case studies of couples that I've worked with, just so you get an understanding and maybe you can relate to this. Maybe it's happening for you. You're being accused of being unfaithful, or you're really convinced that your partner is being unfaithful. Then I'm going to talk about why people can accuse others of cheating. What are the triggers? And then lastly, what to do when someone is accusing you of cheating and you're not. So let me just give you a few examples. If this is new to you and it's not true in your relationship, you're trying to understand what I'm really talking about here. So Sarah and Martin, names changed to protect their identity, have been together for 16 years and they've been battling accusations of cheating on and off for a number of years. Both in their early 50s, they came to me for help because their teenage son was sick and tired of hearing them argue over and over, again and again, about the same thing. Martin was convinced that Sarah snuck out of the house to cheat on him at night. He was convinced that she was cheating. His proof was that on Google Maps, it showed that her phone was in a different location in the city at 3 a.m. at night. Sarah often sleeps in the spare room due to his snoring, and separate rooms is a habit that they both got into for many years, as they have different times that they like to go to sleep and different times that they wake up in the morning. He had been studying her Google Maps on her phone for many months and believes that it's proof that she is cheating. He accused her of sleeping separately, so in the middle of the night, she can sneak out and have an affair. Sarah is absolutely drained of this. She says, "Nicola, I'm in my 50s. Why would I sneak out at 3 a.m. like a teenager? It makes no sense. I've never cheated. I never will." Sarah noticed that these accusations crop up when Martin is not working. A similar situation occurred 4 years ago when Martin lost his job and he was worrying about his finances. With the extra time on his hand, he began to be obsessed that his wife was having an affair with someone at work. Then he was convinced that she was meeting someone at work, she was staying late to be with this person, even though Sarah says that she was literally working the hours that she was meant to work, occasionally staying late, no more than half an hour, and he was still convinced that she was having an affair for that half an hour and in her lunch break. Sarah believes that when Martin has nothing to do, he begins to have fears and obsessions that come up that are unfounded. Nicola, he's like a dog with a bone. He will not let the conversation slide and keeps trying to push me to admit things. He tells me and my son that he has so much evidence that I'm having an affair. And when we ask to see this evidence, he does not show us anything. Whilst working with Martin and Sarah, there are a few things that I noticed. Martin became extremely insecure when he lost his job, as he felt no longer good enough. He felt like he didn't have anything to offer Sarah. He felt less than a man, or less of a man, shall I say, because he believed that the man should be the main breadwinner, the provider, and the fact that Sarah was working, he felt unsuccessful. And he was worried that Sarah might leave him for someone who could provide. It didn't matter what Sarah said, nothing would reassure him, because he felt so insecure. And these are things that Martin needed to work on. So I did a lot of work with Martin on how to boost his self-confidence and refocus his mind on fitness and on an online business. Martin needed a focus each morning, something to get him motivated, passionate about. And he also needed to learn that regardless of his financial situation for those periods of unemployment, he was worthy of love and that he could do so many things to improve the relationship, and that Sarah is not just there for financial security and that he's not failing by not having a job. I guided him through some meditations and recorded them for him that were loaded with positive affirmations to change the way he saw himself and also to give him more peace. Instead of feeding these negative thoughts that were coming up and up and up, to refocus them on what he can control and what he's going to focus on that day. And really getting him into some physical exercise, a physical challenge. He started doing a triathlon, or training for a triathlon, and this was giving him so much fulfillment, serotonin boost in the brain, and was making him feel better. And he had less time to worry about what his wife was doing. He also promised to stop checking the Google Maps, to stop accusing, and they started for some time to sleep next to each other just so he could have that peace there. I also supported them to rebuild the connection. Another reason why sometimes people feel that their partner is cheating is because they do notice that there is an actual distance. Maybe there's pulling away when you're giving affection, lack of interest in the sex life, maybe not really communicating, you're giving each other short answers, or you can just feel that the other person is not into you. And so that's when sometimes insecurities can get bigger and bigger and bigger in our minds, because we know that the relationship isn't close anymore. And then there is Corey and Rachel, another couple that I've been working with. And this was a different case. They're not married. They've been together for around 9 months. They're planning to get married, though. They really want to have children. And their relationship, the first 3 months, was just amazing. They fell head over heels for one another. Everything went so well. And they got really excited about the prospect of being together. And then Corey became convinced that Rachel was having an affair with another man in her building. So she was in company accommodation, and she lives in a building where the company put them in. And Corey got really over jealous when she mentioned that she saw one of her friends in the building, a man who she's known for like 7 years, is good friends with, and Corey then started to get really concerned that they were having an affair. Even though Rachel said that she only has eyes for him, she doesn't and never has been attracted to this other guy. Corey just believed that, no, they're having an affair. And then Corey managed through some different contacts to get hold of this guy's phone number, and he started putting into his phone an app which tracks when she is online and when he is online. And then he started obsessing and checking WhatsApp all the time, seeing if this other guy was online and she was online, what time they went to bed, what time they got up, convinced that they were having an affair. And because they finished on WhatsApp within 10 minutes of each other, or they started on WhatsApp within 30 minutes of each other, he believed that they were having an affair. And he would take screenshots and say, look, when she's online, he's online. When she finishes online, the last scene. And he was like tracking it and taking screenshots. And he was going on to this and checking their WhatsApp status and their WhatsApp online times, like every day, probably every hour that they were apart. And even when they were together, there was still no peace. If she was on her phone in his presence, he'd be checking. If she took her bag to the bathroom when they went out for lunch, he would be convinced that she was messaging and then deleting the messages and then turning her phone off and then deleting them and then turning it back on. Like, he really believed that she was going to all these lengths to hide that she was chatting to someone else. And it got so much for him that he was really getting very, very obsessed with this. And I believe, and of course this is for your own belief, I really, really believe, hand on heart, that checking someone's online status with another person's online status, if they live in the same country, if they're in the same time zone, just because they're starting conversations or ending conversations within 10, 15, 20 minutes of each other, even if they're exactly on the minute again and again and again, doesn't mean anything. People are online all the time. People are on WhatsApp all the time. Most people. In certain countries, of course, WhatsApp is more popular than others, but people are online a lot. And if you live in the same time zone, probably you're going to get up and go to sleep at the same times. Maybe some people check their phones in the night as well when they get up, just to see what the time is and things. So, and also it can be inaccurate sometimes. So I really believe that this is not good enough evidence to see if someone's online as the same person at the same time, then it means that they're having an affair. And this was, really causing him a lot of stress. It was really difficult because he really was so convinced. And I was trying to say to him, that's obviously up to him, but I really don't believe the online status of WhatsApp is enough to accuse someone. And when I met with Rachel, I could really tell that she was not cheating at all, that she really hoped to have a future with Corey, that she loved him, that she was not interested in the other person. I've been working with people now for 17 years all across the world, and I can really tell if someone is lying, and I can really tell if someone is telling the truth. Sometimes I don't know, but with her, I could really tell she is absolutely, definitely not cheating. She definitely wants to have a relationship with Corey, and she's really, really drained and tired and hurting because of these false accusations. She would come to me screaming. And unfortunately, because of these accusations, their relationship went from being an amazing relationship to having very violent outbursts. He would accuse her, she would go mental and shout, he would shout, then she would hit him. And it was really sad to see this happen because she'd never hit anybody in her life. She's never got as angry as she got in these arguments. And he couldn't let it drop. He was so obsessed that she was having an affair. She couldn't stop reacting. She felt like she couldn't stop reacting. So I had to do some anger management hypnotherapy with her. She felt that she couldn't stop these outburst because it was making her so angry to be accused of having an affair. He accused her of having an affair probably 3 or 4 times a day. And then even when they were having like a good day and he brought it up, it never went a day without being accused. She would just then go into these wild fits and hit him. And then they would be like, right, we need to break up. And then they couldn't break up because they loved each other and they had this dream that they're going to have this great family life. And it was all because of these obsessive thoughts. And of course, working on her reaction as well. So the reason I'm sharing this with you is because it really is toxic to accuse somebody of having an affair when they're not. It really is toxic to have obsessive thoughts. And of course, it's a toxic if your arguments are leading to outbursts, shouting matches, violence. It got to a point with this relationship where Corey was so convinced, even though Rachel was staying with him 24/7, was still so convinced that he was threatening the guy. He got the guy's girlfriend's phone number and told the girlfriend, to the point where the girlfriend said, please don't contact me ever again. And then he ended up going to her building and confronting the guy. And the guy was like, look, she's like a sister to me. We're friends. That's it. I'm not interested in her in that way. I never have been. She's not my type. Like, nothing is going on. Then Corey realised, okay, maybe the affair is in his head, and he apologised. But then the next day he was still thinking maybe they're lying. And unfortunately, their relationship in the end had to break up because it was just getting too much. So the reason I'm mentioning this is because we really need to be careful of the accusations made in a relationship. And you can't just carry on in that same cycle. There needs to be rebuilding the connection, rebuilding the closeness, rebuilding peace, individual work working on insecurities. Unfortunately, the reason that Corey had this was because he was cheated on before in his previous relationship. And this made him really suspicious. And he got into a new relationship without clearing the baggage from the past. And if we take the past relationship history with us into a new relationship, this is when we can act in ways that we've never seen ourselves act. Thankfully now both of them are at peace with what's happened. They're working on themselves, building themselves up. I'm helping them both to create a new life and to boost confidence, to calm anxiety, and to release resentment and insecurities. So let's look at, why do people accuse others of cheating? Well, there are many reasons. The 3 main reasons that people accuse others of cheating is because 1, personal insecurities or past experiences, as I was mentioning before. So insecurities can come up for a number of reasons. Society can make us feel ugly, unsuccessful, not good enough, on the best of days. And when we are in a relationship, these feelings can be heightened because we're opening up and being vulnerable with someone who can potentially hurt us. You may compare yourself with others who are better looking, richer, smarter, or whom you believe can offer your partner more than you can. This kind of harmful thinking can lead to fear that your partner may leave, be attracted to someone else, or cheat. Past cheating is also a major contributor to insecurities. It can be first-hand. You have been cheated on, or you have cheated, and your mind won't let it go because you're scared of getting hurt again. So let's say you've been cheated on, you've assumed that this is going to happen again. And it can also be your partner's history. If you know that the person that you're with has cheated on their past girlfriends or boyfriends, they've cheated in their marriage, this is going to make you feel insecure. If they've shared with you, if they've been honest with you and said, yes, I left them because I cheated or I had an affair, this is going to hurt. This is going to cause concern. I have a lady that I saw a few days ago, and her boyfriend has been very honest with her and said to her, look, I have a sex addiction. I'm working on it. And now she's just so convinced he's cheating because she's worried that because he has a sex addiction and he's working on it, that, that means that every time he's on his phone, he's cheating on her. And when she's drinking alcohol, this is making it a lot worse. And there can also be insecurities and fears that come up from witnessing others traumatized by either cheating or abandonment. So, for example, if you have a best friend and they've been cheated on, if you grew up and your parents split up because of an affair, or you saw your father or mother arguing with a husband or wife about cheating, then this might affect your security in a relationship. Sometimes even just witnessing stories where you see in the news, in the media, in movies, men leaving women for younger women, women having emotional affairs. It can all play on our minds. And let's face it, most TV, there's always something negative going on. There's so many affairs going on in so many TV shows and movies. This can heighten our insecurities, especially if we really love someone, we really want the future with that person. It can shake us. And then bullying and name calling at an early age and an older age can affect self-esteem, and that can make people insecure. The aging process can make people feel insecure. I've actually had quite a few men recently where just helping them to feel at peace, turning sort of 60, and to not see themselves in such a negative way. A few men were really feeling down about it, so I did meditation for them. And then there's weight gain. A lot of people can start to feel insecure about their weight gain, and then they feel like someone's cheating on them because they're no longer attractive, but that's often in their own head. And lastly, in relationships, white lies. White lies on different topics, lying, hiding things. It could be financial things. It could be, I had a couple recently where the man ordered something, a t-shirt, on Amazon, and then because he was worried that his wife wouldn't like it, that he's ordered some clothes, he hid it, and then they had to have a discussion why are you hiding? You've bought a t-shirt on Amazon, what is the point in that? And so it was something very small, and he thought, I didn't want to tell you because I know we're not really spending any money, and so I just didn't want to face it. And of course, then that makes her feel, okay, what else are you hiding from me? And this can then cause suspicions in terms of cheating. And whilst these all are valid reasons why somebody may get insecure and suspicious, it may not be the fault of the person that they're with, and it's their responsibility to deal with them. If you recognize you have some insecurities right now in your relationship, you're feeling not very good about yourself, you're having anxieties, and they're not really backed by any evidence or anything, then it's important to take that responsibility to decide, okay, I'm going to work on myself, I'm going to work on this, I'm going to do what I can to not give in to these thoughts, because if we give in to these thoughts, they can be very consuming, very overwhelming, and very draining. The next point is misunderstandings of situations or behaviors. This is another reason why people can have suspicions that someone is cheating. Perception is so subjective. How we see a situation can be totally different to what is actually happening. For example, if your husband or wife walks outside to take a call, it can automatically make you feel like they're hiding something, when in reality, you may have the TV on, or they're taking a professional call and they need to concentrate. In some cases, they are actually planning maybe a surprise for you and don't want to give the game away. There are so many more reasons why someone walking out to talk on their phone can be normal. reasonable, acceptable. And yet sometimes people will jump to the worst case scenario and think that something suspicious is going on. In this day and age, with phone addiction rife, taking the phone or the tablet to the toilet is becoming the norm, which can really, again, ignite some fears in some people. Why are they taking the phone to the bathroom? And some couples I work with, they decide, okay, for peace, we are not taking phones into the bathroom. Additionally, different personalities will behave differently in different situations, of course. Some people love to chat to strangers, they like to be friendly, they like to be warm to all they meet. Others are more reserved. Some people, when they have a drink in them or something, they're much more flirty and outgoing. And the other person is like, why are you being so over the top? And they may see it like, I'm just having a good time, this is who I am. And this can cause a lot of friction as well. And then the third part is guilty conscience. Some people project what they are doing or have done onto others. If a person has had an affair, you may notice that they begin to accuse others of doing the same. It's an easy way to shift the guilt, and some even go as far as to accuse the other of cheating in their mind so that they can justify their own cheating. So they can say to themselves, okay, they've cheated, so that means that I'm not doing anything wrong by having lunch with a colleague that I really like, or by sexting someone else, because I'm convinced that my partner is cheating. It can also be with this guilty conscience to feel like others are going to do to you what you've done for others. If you found yourself cheating in your current relationship, in past relationships, you may fear, okay, the other person is doing it because they may be a little bit distant, they may be not communicating with you as much, they may be enjoying the attention from someone else, and then this may get you to fear that, okay, they really are cheating on you. So if you're someone who's being accused of cheating, I really understand how upsetting and stressful it can be. As I mentioned when working with Corey and Rachel was so pushed to the limit. It really ignited so much stress in her, where she just wasn't herself for many, many months. I know how negatively it can impact a relationship as well. And so I'm going to share with you some tips now on what has helped some countless couples that I have supported to make a change. And I say countless because there's been so many that I've helped to feel secure, to rebuild that connection, to make their relationship really, really great. So the first step is to clarify what they feel constitutes cheating and what you feel constitutes cheating. Really sitting down together and just understanding why they feel you're cheating, what is cheating to you. As I mentioned in another episode about micro-cheating, for some people cheating is messaging a work colleague, sharing about your feelings in the relationship. It could be taking late night work assignments, calls, things like that. Even if you feel that you're doing something innocently, sometimes a partner may not think it's appropriate to be engaging with people outside of work hours, to be having lunches with the same person more than a few times a month, things like that. So this will be some kind of agreement on what you feel is acceptable and isn't acceptable. And also what to do if there is someone that is showing an interest in one of you. Do you hold back? Do you share with each other? Do you block that person? Do you invite that person to meet you both? Like, there's different things that couples decide to do. Because if you're continuing to do something that your partner has said that they really don't like, then they're going to start to really feel that either you don't care about their feelings and thoughts because you're continuing with that same behavior behind their back. And so then they can feel even more insecure. And then sometimes, unfortunately, it can become a control thing. You're trying to control me. I want to see this person as a friend, and now you're trying to control me. You're controlling who I can message. You're controlling who I can be friends with. You're controlling me at work. And so you want to make sure that it doesn't become a control battle, because then there really is no winners. The person will try and push to show, no, I've got control over my life. The other person will become more insecure and more want to control, and then it just snowballs into this unhealthy environment. And of course, as we're mentioning in this episode, some people are accused of full-blown cheating and they're absolutely not. And there needs to have a discussion on this step, of course, as well. The next thing is really to rebuild the trust. If your things that you are doing that are causing mistrust and you can change them and you're happy to change them, then change them for the peace. If there are things you're doing to arouse suspicion, if you're telling white lies, if you're not giving full truths, if you're giving one-word answers, if you're keeping information hidden, that's going to, of course, cause distrust and more insecurities and more accusations of cheating. So making sure that you're taking consistent actions, being true to your word. I have a list of 25 different things that couples can do to rebuild the connection and trust, like doing things to make each other happy, doing things where you can enjoy and have great times together again so that you can trust each other. And this doesn't mean walking around on eggshells and giving in to every demand. You don't want to be controlled. You do need trust in a relationship. You can't have a relationship that doesn't have a good amount of trust. If you're constantly giving up yourself, giving up your work, giving up things just to please the other person for a peaceful life, unfortunately, this doesn't work long term. It causes resentment. It causes someone to feel that they're not living their life properly, and it's not healthy. So it's about finding that happy medium way and doing things to rebuild that trust and connection. The next thing is to really be patient with one another. It's difficult for people to just completely drop their insecurities overnight. It's going to take them effort to not give in to the obsessive thoughts. When I work with people, they often feel like their thoughts are out of control. They can't help it. They're having these negative thoughts. They believe it's true, and they need some reassurance. And whilst they need to work on their own fears and insecurities, the partner can help them. They can give them love, they can give them reassurance, they can do things together. It's a two-way process. It's actions in the relationship, and then it's also actions for that person to realise, okay, I need to stop giving into these thoughts. These are just thoughts. They're not true. I'm not going to allow them to ruin my day, my week, whatever it is. It's about showing each other that you're committed on a daily basis, like actions that you can do that show love and care and interest in one another consistently. Seeking professional help is something that you can also do to support you if you have insecurities, if there's jealousy, if the relationship issues are deep. It's definitely good to see someone that can support you. I do a lot of talking, coaching, and hypnotherapy to help people to really release the fears, release the anxiety, and to boost their self-esteem and confidence, and also how to deal with difficult times in the relationship, how to have those difficult conversations and not end up ignoring one another or ending in angry outbursts and things like that. If you're both working together to build a happier and healthier connection, then things can go really, really great. In fact, if you really want to build that union, then do check out, as I mentioned before, I have this new video I've created for podcast listeners, and it's about the steps that are needed to rebuild a relationship or to gain the clarity whether your relationship can be saved if you're really not sure at the moment, if you're sick of the cheating cycle, whether cheating's happening or whether you're feeling that cheating's happening. It can be very, very draining, and having someone that can look at your relationship from the outside, that can see what needs to be done, can be very helpful to see what is behind the lack of trust, what is behind the disconnect, the communication problems, and then supporting you to have those skills and tools to make a lasting change. We don't want to change just for a few weeks, just for a few months. It's got to be a lasting change. So let me just finish with one more case study as a story of hope. If you're listening and thinking, wow, I'm not sure we can change this, Nicola. We've been stuck in this same cycle for a while now and we're losing hope. So Maria had been married to Tony for 3 years. However, over the past year, Maria had a feeling that Tony was cheating and that he was meeting someone regularly behind her back. Maria needed to know where Tony was at all times and went as far to put a new phone in his car without him knowing so that she could trace the phone to track where Tony was at all times. Even if Tony was in the place where he said he was going to be, she was adamant that he was basically going to meet somebody else at the place and the time where he said he was going to do some work. Tony eventually found the phone, and when he confronted her, the discussions quickly turned into a heated argument. Tony couldn't understand why he was being tracked, why he was being accused of cheating, why he was being monitored when he felt they had a good, strong relationship. Maria apologized. She said that she couldn't shake the feeling that he was having an affair, and she needed more proof. She needed more time. She still had lots of questions and doubts. I decided that the best approach for this couple was to work with them individually, as I normally do, individually and then together, because I don't believe in that traditional way of helping couples, going over the past, going over the problems. It's far easier to get to the root cause of issues by working with the same individuals separately and then together. And it didn't take me long to realize that Maria's insecurities were coming from the fact that Tony was a very friendly, flirty personality, that he enjoyed going to parties and speaking to everybody else, whereas Maria would love to go to a party and be by his side. He felt that he was being controlled. She felt that he wasn't really interested in her anymore. She had also put on some weight and felt unattractive and was worried that she was looking older and that he was looking at other women because she was not good enough. Speaking to Tony, understanding the dynamic in the relationship, Tony is a kind of person that notices other people when they walk in the room. Whether it's male, whether it's female, he will notice if someone is attractive. He will notice what someone's wearing. And that has nothing to do with how Maria was looking. She needed more love and attention. She also needed to work on her own physical fitness to feel better about herself. She also enjoyed changing a few things in her wardrobe to make her feel better about herself. And Tony needed to work on actually being a little bit more vocal with his appreciation for her, both in terms of what she was doing in the relationship, who she was as a person, and how she looked. And this gave her the confidence to feel more secure in the relationship. Tony also realized that sometimes he can be extra flirtatious and leave her at parties and things like that to fend for herself, which he does like about her, that she can mix with different people, but he realized that sometimes it can be a bit too much for her. So they agreed that they would spend some of their time in the evening together, some of their time apart when they go out to social functions together. And they both worked on boosting their self-esteem. I gave them both my self-esteem boosting meditation to work on their inner thoughts and feelings about themselves. They also worked on how to change their communication rather than going into a shouting match or bickering or shutting down on one another, how to talk through different things and find solutions, and how to reconnect and get back to the humour and laughter that they had right at the beginning of the relationship, which made them so happy in the relationship. If you are the partner who suspects your partner, realise that you may be right. They may be having an affair. And realise that you also may not be. You may be wrong. You may be completely accusing them when they love you, they care about you, and they would never cheat. And it can be very confusing to know the difference. The difference between your own fears and insecurities, your stuff, and the difference between actually their behaviour is off. Actually they're withdrawing, they're lying, they're hiding something. And this is where it's very easy to fall into complete chaos in a relationship. So I want to talk about the difference between a gut feeling and a fear in the mind. A gut knowing is just like you know. When you get a message and it's like, I know something is off. I know they are cheating. There's no confusion over it. If it's coming often from your higher self, from a gut feeling, it's like something is off. There's a difference between that and that fear and panic. And that often fear and panic doesn't come from the gut, doesn't come from the heart, it comes from the head. And it's more like, I need to check for peace, I need this, I need that. It's insecure, it's confusing, it's got like an adrenaline and anxiety about it. If you're having more of that anxiety, your mind going over, your obsessive thoughts, maybe it is in your head and maybe it will benefit for you to talk through it with somebody that can help you. If it is like a strong gut feeling, I know it, and it's not repetitive, it's not obsessive, then sometimes you may need to listen to that intuition and investigate. So if you are going through this, be prepared to explore your insecurities and fears, get the right support so that you and your partner can implement the right changes to bring you closer together and understand where you're both coming from in terms of your fears and concerns and worries, and then take good care of yourself. Whether you're the person that's being accused, you're the person that is accusing, all of this can be very draining. So looking after your health, your sleep, exercising, focusing on things that bring you joy and happiness, being the best version of yourself, having loving support from other friends and family that build you up and boost your self-esteem is all very important. And remember that it's very essential, crucial in fact, to have compassion. Nobody wants to wake up and feel so insecure and feel so worried and consumed and obsessed thinking that their partner is cheating. That's not a choice. That person is feeling so unsettled, so confused and worried. So let's give them love and compassion. It's not a choice. They're not deliberately trying to hurt you, to annoy you, to worry you. They're worried and hurting themselves. And same for the person that is being accused. It's draining, it's tiring, giving them love and compassion also. Change is possible. That is the good news. Everyone is capable of changing if they want to. You can change and get rid of insecurities if they're plaguing you. You can change obsessive thoughts and have calmness and peace. You can work on the relationship to become closer, to make it more fulfilling and helpful. When a relationship goes right, everything in life can seem so much better because relationships make a massive part of our life, and if they're not going well, it can cause financial stress, physical stress, mental stress. And when it's going well, we can feel alive and happy and buzzing and really have a high quality of life. So it's worth working on, it's worth getting support, it's worth listening to things like this to boost you up and getting as much resources and support available to you. So I will leave it there. I just want to say that a huge thank you for being here with me. I do have my Facebook group that you can join for further support. It's now growing and we're all supporting each other, and I'm doing a live in there every week answering your most precious relationship questions so that you can live your best life. I also have the video that I mentioned, it's 43 minutes. I created it for you to help you understand the steps to having that close, happy relationship. From my heart to yours, wishing you an amazing week ahead. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Thank you for listening to How to Save Your Marriage with Nicola Beer. To book your free marriage strategy session today, you can visit www.nicolabeer.com, where you can also get the free marriage fixing ebook, request a topic for the show, and make a donation if the show has been of benefit to you and you want to help keep it going. We wish you an amazing love-filled day ahead.